It's really a simple question. What does an island in the middle of nowhere do with its waste? Waste is often an overlooked part of modern day life. We simply throw our waste into a bin, and for the average person the problem is over, never having to think about that empty carton of milk ever again. For the island of St Helena, the problem is further enhanced by limited resources and the unique size and location of the island. Therefore, in this video, we explore the story of waste on St Helena Island. Located in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, with the nearest major landmass of West Africa being over 1,000 miles away, and with its population of just under 4,000 people, St Helena stands as one of the most remote and unique inhabited places on Earth. The people, culture, landscape and wildlife is something only a very lucky and adventurous few will get to experience. However, with its unique location and size, a new problem occurs. What happens to the waste generated on the island?
So I'm Terry Clingham. I'm the Environmental Officer for Environmental Management Division, which forms part of ENRP, Environmental Natural Resources and Planning Portfolio of SHG. We got two refuse collection vehicles. They got their routes around the island, collect every day, Monday to Friday, and Sundays in town. That's both domestic and commercial waste. So everything that's being collected by the RCV in your usual 240 black bin is landfilled. The top three types of waste that's being disposed of at the landfill currently is kitchen waste, followed by plastics, and then closely followed by paper and cardboard.
The remaining useful life of Horsepond landfill site, calculated in 2015, was 12 years without active intervention. While some initiatives and ingenuity has yielded sustainable benefits, the site life remains relatively unchanged. The cost of developing and constructing a new airport-compliant landfill site, similar facilities as Horse Point, was £3 million, also calculated in 2015. Today, this cost could now be in excess of £4 million.
What we need to be concerned about is how much time, what's the remaining life that we have of Horse Point landfill site. In 2015, it was calculated that the landfill would be fully utilized and maxed out by 2027 to 2030. So again, without active intervention and changing the way we do things, rather than putting everything in the ground, 2027 to 2030, a new landfill, first question, where? And the next question is obviously the costs. I think it was calculated back then, 3 million, times to change, everything goes up, not down. So that's probably in excess now could be even reaching 5 million to design, build and construct and make it operational.
The people of St Helena clearly face a unique problem with its waste. However, thanks to the ambition and determination of the island's people, there seems to be solutions on the horizon.
So the South Atlantic Plastics Project is a 3-year Darwin-funded project under the title D+176, Turning the Tide on Plastic Pollution on Ascension Island and St Helena. It is a multi-partner project which is a collaboration between the St Helena National Trust, the St Helena Government, the Ascension Island Government and the Zoological Society of London, as well as other academic partners in the UK and South Africa. My name is Tobias Capel and I'm the Marine Plastics Project Manager based at the St Helena National Trust. I guess I could describe the overarching aims of the project, which are twofold. The first is to kind of improve our understanding of the relationship that each island has with single-use plastics, with the hopes of obviously designing interventions that could potentially improve that relationship. And the second intervention is to improve our understanding on the ways in which marine plastic pollution is impacting the marine environment of the respective islands, and again, trying to identify ways in which we could potentially mitigate that. So through the South Atlantic Plastics Project, we've engaged with businesses principally through survey-based questionnaires, which asked questions which helped us diagnose how much plastics the businesses are using, which single-use plastic items they're using, and also whether there's any barriers that might exist for those businesses to move away from single-use plastic items. And then with some key core retailers on each island, we also used an import audit. So they collaborated with us to provide us details about how many single-use plastic items they were importing annually. So some of the barriers that might exist for businesses or even individual consumers on St Helena from moving away from single-use plastic items, the big one is customer preference. There are some products for which people actually have an active preference towards. They don't want to, say, drink their drinks through a paper straw. They much rather use a single-use plastic straw. But another big one, which globally faces, is the cost, the price. So there are definitely certain socio-economic barriers that exist on these islands with the cost of living and annual wages, for example. And so one of the ways in which single-use plastics have rise to such a dominance in the market is because they're produced so cheaply, and typically the more ethical alternatives come with an ethical price tag. When it comes to actually tackling single-use plastics, improving the management of them, I know it sounds really simple to go back to it, but really the three R's stand, reduce, reuse, recycle. So obviously the best option would be just to reduce the amount that's being imported, and there are definitely tools in which we can do that. So we've proposed interventions through this project, which is trying to tackle maybe some of that consumer preference, introducing economically viable, sustainable alternatives for key single-use plastic items, and then what you can't reduce, then ensuring that waste, when it is produced, enters the appropriate waste management streams on island. The South Atlantic Plastics Project is definitely hoping to support the waste management processes that are happening on St Helena. One of the best ways that we can see to do that is encouraging household separation of waste. So, there are definitely, as we've spoken to, challenges that waste management for islands like this face. However, there are systems in place here to basically maximally use those resources as best we can. And so the biggest thing that we can do to support that is separating our waste and ensuring that those different recyclables, those different materials end up feeding into the appropriate systems. Because if they're not separated as general waste, then the waste management system doesn't have the capacity to sort through thousands of domestic refuse bags. So by separating out at the household level, we can ensure that those materials that we're consuming, we're producing, that we're forcing or handing over to the waste management system to manage on our behalf, we can ensure that they're being as appropriately managed as possible. So the waste management system on St Helena, it definitely faces some big challenges, just like any other waste management system for small, geographically isolated communities. So each different recyclable material faces certain hurdles it has to overcome in terms of its recyclability, its reusability, and even its value as a waste product. And even in countries which are much larger than St Helena that overcome those barriers, here in this context you have the additional barrier of either trying to export that waste so it can be recycled, which obviously is another financial barrier, or you have to somehow overcome the issues of economies of scale and somehow developing recycling infrastructure that works for a population of only 4,500 people.
My name is Rodney, and I'm a chicken farmer by trade, actually, but I do recycling on the side as a second job and help clean up the island. A while back, I used to take my dogs to walk, which I still do, in a forest, in a national forest, and you see cans and stuff all in there. So I used to take a bag along with me and pick up cans as I go. And then one day, I run into Mike Danford. I said to him about if they like to pay me to get the cans, and they can recycle them. And he said, be looking for somebody to do some recycling. And it was good, it had a good time. And then the government office, they sponsor the funding for all the machines and that. And that's how it begins, actually, yeah. Here I'm keeping it simple. With ENRD, as a partnership, they supply all the blue bins for me. And if you see behind me, there's all different colors. But the blue ones are strictly for a drinking can. Yeah? So they supply me, they scour all the island. They got a particular vehicle that pick up all these bins and bring them all to the site over there. And then I go there and I sort through them, because they mix sometimes, and a lot of bottles bin you. So you sort through them and you bring them here to this place, and I put them through a machine that makes sure it's just alley and nothing else. So it's got a magnet in it. So if it's a steel can or anything, then that alley it will take it out. And then I put them into a press there, and you get a like 25, 27 cubic square cube come out. Not square, not cube, but it's more rectangle than cube. But a small 25 kilo cube out. I want to be doing this, for the next, into the future, another 10 years or so, if I can be doing this, as long as I can get there and be able to, do it. I like to carry on doing it, I think it's bad as some people say, oh, you're out here in the rubbish and that. But at the end of it, you get something from it, and you doing part of keeping the environment safe for future generations, and without all the pollution of mining and getting all these materials to make this stuff.
My name is Dion Robertson. Currently I'm working for SSG as the Roads and Building Maintenance Manager. Upcycling is one of my passions. It's actually a hobby. I always go to tips and dumps and see if there's something that I can maybe use and can fix, especially on St Helena. The first time when I went to the dump, it was amazing what was discarded there. I started gathering stuff, and I have been doing that for the last 13 years that we've been on island. I love my woodworking, and wood lathe to me is definitely one of the things that if you don't have a wood lathe, there's very few items that you could substitute a wood lathe with. I mean, if you want to turn something in wood, you need a wood lathe. I mean, there's no other way of doing it. And I said, you know what, I'm going to make it my mission to see if I can build this without spending any money on it. Even the bolts that keeps a wooden frame together, everything. If you start at the wall plug, it comes from a computer. It goes into a motor, and the on and off switch comes from an old concrete mixer that the motor was thrown away, didn't work. I came, tested it, found the capacitor to be faulty. I went to the dump and found one capacitor in a tumble dryer, so I put the capacitor, tested the motor works fine. The belt comes from a washing machine. The headstock is manufactured, it's just a wooden box. The headstock itself is an old electrical motor that I use the armature as where my belt runs over, and I made 3 pulleys on the electrical motor, so my lathe is 3 speed. So I won't say slow, medium, fast, but one slower than the other. Then the base of a wood lathe is a wooden piece of table that I picked up at the dump as well. All the pieces of wood is shutterboard that I picked up there. The woodworking piece runs onto. It's also electrical little armature motor, 2 bearings and a little wooden box to keep it stable. And then, it's just wooden guides at the bottom. It can slide up and down. The piece that you put your chisels on is a nice square little piece of aluminium that I found. And I basically just use that as my piece where my chisels can rest on. All the little turnbuckles and clamps that is in there is stuff of bolts with a little handle that I pick up and say, you know what, just put it in my box, And then I start going through the boxes and say, oh, this I can use. So yes, and then it's trial and error. I probably took it apart maybe 3-4 times, because you start it up, then this thing wobbles or that thing is unsafe or something. So yeah, it probably might not pass all safety standards, but I've used it. My boys they've turned little pieces. There's a piece on there now that they're just playing with at the moment. But yeah, at the end of the day, standing here doesn't cost me a cent, and it's working. It's a working wood lathe. I cannot turn 2-meter pieces, but yeah, for what I needed, this is exactly what I need. So it's almost like an inner satisfaction. It's like some people run. To me, it's something I repurpose, something that people will throw away. Yeah, it's just the way I've been brought up. My dad is a very, very handy man. There's nothing he could not fix. And I basically, from a young age, spent some time with him. Yeah, he taught me how to fix lawnmowers, how to fix a little motorbikes, and then it went into a bit of car mechanics and woodworking and things like that. And it's always been in my blood. It's my adrenaline rush is to build something and to fix something. So I'm enjoying it.
My name is Wilhelmina Fowler, and I'm the coordinator / technical trainer here at the Recycle Centre Donkey Plain. So everything here starts from our two machines we have here at the Recycle Centre. The first one is the hydro pulper. The hydro pulper only takes shredded paper and cardboard at a very large volume. Once we put water with it, it will mix for like a day and a half. Once that mixed into a mulch, our trainees squeeze all the excess water out from the pulp. They will pack it into a frame of different sizes, and they'll be packing it by slightly binding using a slapping method. And once they've done that, they will put the pulp board out into the drying area. We also have another machine called the Holland beater. The Holland beater is a smaller machine, but it takes more different materials. For example, 100% cotton, denim jeans, flax and aloe fiber, as well as cardboard and paper. Once it comes out from that small machine, our trainees will now put it into a basin with more water, and they will use a sieve-like frame, dip down into the basin and up, let all the water drain out from it, and press it onto a felt. You then press all the remaining excess water out and hang up until dry. What we've made our paper pulp board is one of our best sellers is pulp ladders, keepsake boxes, toy boxes, plaques. We also have made some furniture, bedside cabinets we've made. It's good to hear how the community is recycling or upcycling. The island is slowly getting into recycling and upcycling, and it is nice to hear how the community is doing it. Yes, really, it's nice to watch some of our trainees grow. Some has come a long way, and it is very therapeutic for everybody. And it's nice to work in some ways as one of the coin. We have schools come in, tours come in, and just to see expression that what we do here does make an importance.
My name is Wanda, and I actually own Abbey One. So with the denim, basically it's mainly bikes and whale sharks that we do out of the recycled denim. For instance, one pair of jeans would give me a bag, one pair of jeans would give me a whale shark, but I sort of mix and match sometimes, that I take other waste stuff from my own, waste materials from my own business to put into that denim as well. So I would say that could use quite a bit of denim instead of going into the landfill and just waiting there to be, you could recycle. Even for the plastic, for instance, I could use plastic bags to make stuff out as well, because I could use it for line in my bags. I could even make bags out of the plastic waste. So I could really use up quite a bit of that waste stuff. That is, if only I had time, I could use it up. It's just family members will say we don't need this anymore, so they'll bring it in for me because they know I use the denim, and I go to the Sally Army to, it's just 50p or sometimes nothing, so I get my denim from the Sally Army. And I think that most times when they can't get rid of their stuff, it goes to the tip anyway, so I goes across the road to the Sally Army. To be honest, cycling on St Helena, I think that there is so much that you can do. When I was doing some flag weaving for, I think it was Bertram's, and I wanted to have that natural flowers, so I got somebody to cut the bottles for me. And then seeing what they could do with the bottles, you could use up all the bottles. I mean, they were even making glasses out of the bottles. So I could use the bottles, I could use plastic, we use the denim, I can even use paper. So I would love to see that really take off on St Helena, but you don't have the interest there, to be honest with you. We don't have the interest. Every time I try to do something, time overtakes me and I just can't get it done. Because, like I say, it's more of a hobby for me than actually my business, because my business involves the main parts of the tailoring and stuff. I feel that waste could be managed much more better if you had more people involved. Because if more people was using up the waste, then obviously it wouldn't go to the tip. If more people were using it. And on the other hand, I think my personal view on this is that money is too free on St Helena. Everybody will complain that things is expensive, but you will still see people going into the shop to buy these fancy bags that cost so much money. And you could be making a bag out of the denim, couldn't you? Or out of the plastic or whatever. And then I've watched little things on YouTube and Pinterest and stuff like that where you can, just use up the tins and stuff. So for me, money is too free on St Helena that people is not interested in going and doing those little, really, they're like amazing little jobs that you can do from all that waste, but you just don't have the interest there. And I just feel that my personal view would be that we need more younger people to take into stuff like that to be able to control it, because otherwise the tip is just going to get full of everybody's waste.
There's often an understanding amongst the St Helenian people that in order to live on the island, you're going to have to be resourceful and get a little creative. This notion has been carried on to now tackle the island's waste problem. With a mixture of government-led projects and creative ideas from locals, the island's future is certainly looking a lot brighter.